It's great to meet you, Bill. Where are you located?
So I live in Greenville, South Carolina,
Okay.
from Baltimore. So I'm a transplant, and then my business partner is in Atlanta. So
Okay.
we run the company, primarily remotely, and we have teams, team members spread out over the country.
You got the East Coast covered. Cool. So yeah, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm in the middle of the map.
Yeah, nice.
And yeah, so it's great to meet you. And I want to begin our conversation with looking at the calendar. It's March, 4 years ago, everything came to a halt. How did you survive the pandemic and how did it change you?
Yeah. So in when I go back and I think in real time, my response to the pandemic itself was it's irrelevant. And what I meant by that, I know it wasn't, but I didn't let the tail wag the dog.
Yeah.
My thought was that as a company, we have to continue. We have to be positive, and it's in these types of moments that leadership is required. I'm actually a little humble brag. I'm actually pretty proud that in 2020, Thrive won Small Business of the Year in the local Chamber of Commerce here. And so, I think other people noticed that we were trying to be leaders during that time period and really building and encouraging other business owners. Now, did we all have impact? We clearly did, but um, from our perspective, it in our call it the crisis challenged us to be leaders at the time that it was needed.
It's so funny you say wag the dog. I remember that movie that came out, and I think about our current world we live in. What a benign film that is now.
No doubt, no
It's
doubt.
wild. So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do for a living. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders. It's career day. And one of the kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
We help business owners run their business in a way that they can have fun doing it. Like if I sell a third grader, that's kind of probably the way I would talk. Yeah, because I would say fractional COO, helping the visionary, scale his company. Those things are true, but to my grandkids, Pup Up just helps business owners have fun running their company.
So when did this line of work come around? Because I was in corporate America back in the day, and I just don't remember the advent of coaches and fractional COOs and people coming in to help guide these companies. Is this a relatively new advent, or has this been around for
It
a while?
is. It is. But to your audience, I'm actually kind of proud we were ahead of the game. So I started the company in 2006. And I always say, our company does not provide coaching and consulting as a service. And I'll tell you why. One, everybody's a coach and everybody's a consultant. It makes us all roll our eyes if we're being honest. And so I'm tired of that. Now, I can tell you, Joe, I am a certified leadership coach at the master's degree level. And you know who cares? Nobody cares.
Right, right.
Nobody cares. So, but doing a lot of informal coaching consulting in the early 2000s through the work that I was doing, saw a need for what I recognized as outsourced executive leadership. So around 2006, we started what is now Thrive. And today we're still fundamentally doing the same three things that we started. And that was, outsourced executive leadership, developing strategy that you actually execute. There's a lot of, you know, again, one of the reasons coaches and consultants frustrate me, if I'm being honest, is a lot of conversation, a lot of plan development, no implementation. Our job is to help you implement. So strategy, actually execute, and high level peer-to-peer leadership conversations. I think that a lot of leaders feel that others don't understand what they're going through, and we really come alongside as partners. We don't presume we know your business better than you do. You are the expert in your business. And so outsourced executive leadership, and we've gone through a few most focused on operations. I think fractional CFOs, the chief financial officers of the world, were ahead of the curve for a couple of decades. The marketplace understood outsourced financial leadership. I saw it in the world of operations. And you fast forward today, we started using the word fractional probably around 2016. If you had jumped on LinkedIn and looked up fractional COO in 2016, I might be wrong, Joe, but my my guess is you just found less than 10 people.
Yeah.
Today it has become the new fashionable word. I am afraid that fractional is becoming the new coach and consultant because post pandemic, a lot of white collar people who lost their role or left their role are now just slapping fractional in front of whatever experience they have. And so I think our company has to differentiate itself that we're not just selling a person and competency, but we're selling a service on how to run your business. And the fractional COO is help delivering that process, not just a person.
So what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream to grow up and become?
Well, wow. I had a lot of fantasies growing up, being a lot of different things at different stages of my life. I would probably say in the third grade, I was wanting to be an FBI agent.
Okay. Good for you, man.
and that hung with me probably till about the ninth grade, and then life changed a little bit. But yeah. I was wanting. I grew up in a neighborhood. I had to decide: am I going to commit crime or solve crime?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think about FBI agent and immediately I think about Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks. How cool that would be to hang out with him, you know?
No
That'd
doubt.
be a good time. So let me ask you this. You're obviously groomed to be somebody that's helping and leading and dispensing good advice. Take me back to your childhood. How did these seeds become who you are? Who and how did this happen to you to become who you are today?
So our mission statement is serve people, solve problems. And I will have to say that I was fortunate to have a lot of good people around me in my childhood that represented that, but none better than my dad. My dad, to this day, is still to me the hardest working man I've ever known. When I've had staff that have getting frustrated with my level of expectation for excellence and hard work, I always tell them, "Don't blame me, blame my dad." I got it from him. And my dad has always been a problem solver. And what I learned from my dad, it was no problem that couldn't be solved. I know that sounds so simple, and I know it's not that easy, but it is that simple. And so my dad really played that role. Plus, from a serving people, solving problem, it was, whether it was serving family, serving people in our community, seeing a need, meeting a need, making an impact. And that was modeled in front of me. Now, I couldn't have articulated it the way I just did when I was 10 years old. But when I look back and realize, well, why am I the way I am? I get to blame my dad.
So you may have already answered my next question, which is who is your hero, your inspiration in life?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna carry that theme. My dad was actually the best man at my wedding, and because even as a young man, I realized he is the best man. I thought it literally meant like the best person you know. I was so young, I didn't even know what I was doing, and I didn't know it was supposed to be your like best friend. It was the best person I know is my dad. It's all joking aside, put my dad there. If somehow at this age of my life I was getting married again, my dad's up there in age, but I'd still, get a little emotional think about it. I'd still want him standing next to me.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Of all the people that exist on the planet right now, who would you love to meet? Who do you find fascinating and interesting enough to meet?
Well, that's a really good question. But I've had the opportunity to be in the right rooms with some people that have had serious impact on me. As I've aged, that's a great question. You catch me a little off guard. I'm trying to think on the fly. Yeah, when I was young, you had those aspirations. I mean, I'm 58 this year. There's a part of me. It's not that I'm cynical, but it's like, the awe that I had in certain people is a little lost.
Yeah.
You kind
Uh-huh.
of navigate through that. But my time is less spent. Maybe this is just a fair response to your question. My time is spent less these at this stage of my life and saying, "Oh man, who's out there that I want to spend time together?" Rather, I've shrunk my circle and these are the people I want to spend time together. And I'm not hating on everybody outside that circle. It's just like this is the circle, and I'm content with that.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's family for me, and really close friends.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. As somebody that advises people to get to a better place in business, you have to give good advice. What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
What's the best? The best advice I've ever gotten is that if you have a vision that is bigger than yourself, then it will require more people. Let them in.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know and because sometimes I have heard throughout my career, nobody loves this company as much as I do. Nobody can do this the way that I do it. I can't slow down long enough to show somebody how I do this. And I appreciate what you're saying. We want to be trusted advisors, but we really want to be trusted implementers. We want to be more than just a voice of telling you what to do in your company. We really don't operate that way, but really to say, hey, this is, um, you have to bring other people. You build a team and you maximize your strengths and let others maximize their strengths.
So the thing about business is that it's kind of like sports. There's always this rags to riches. There's this rise to the top that's very noble and noteworthy. What's that business for you? A business model that you admire, that does good, that kind of rose up and is just a big thing on the landscape now. What is that for you?
Are you referring to it from an industry perspective?
Yeah, any kind of business out there, any kind of business model that you admire.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, we have served through the years. My partner and I, Kai Bailey, who I mentioned earlier, is my business partner. We've worked with probably 35 to 40 different industries through the years. We are finding over the last 4 to 5 years a rise in healthcare related companies that we are working with. I think that the large scale health systems has frustrated a lot of entrepreneurial healthcare people, and they're finding alternative ways to serve the community. So one of the things that I think is really up and coming is a shaking in healthcare in the way it gets delivered, and whether it's doctors or nurses or technicians, just finding alternative ways to meet the market and maybe not so be a part of these large conglomerate healthcare systems.
Yeah.
And we've had multitudes of those clients over the recent years, and it's interesting watching them take advantage of opportunity. For example, I mean, urgent healthcare, you know, COVID changed a lot of things, but it opened up opportunities for a company we've worked with that provides literally drive-through urgent care. Now that it comes with its limitations, but 10 years ago, you and I would have never thought about, hey, put the kids in the back seat, we'll drive through, look at their temperature, they'll evaluate. Again, there's limited things that can be done, but just again, meeting a need, seeing 100 patients a day, they found something that made moms happy, that I didn't have to take the kids out of the car to get them evaluated.
So every day you wake up, you have a motivation to help people and to evolve yourself. What is that motivation for you? What makes you who you are?
Well, what makes me who I am? I don't know if that's a complicated question because it depends on the day, right? I think if you're an entrepreneur and you're a business owner, if you're not bipolar before you start, you'll be bipolar by the time you're done, right? And so there's a little bit of kind of skitzing back and forth. But I think ultimately, being a business owner and being an entrepreneur is a journey of faith. And I wouldn't want to over spiritualize it, but I'm thinking you can't separate them either. And I think on a daily basis, really recognizing that, I got to have faith for what I believe is possible. And if it was easy to believe, everybody would. So you got to start there, and then taking action. And I think I'm motivated to make what is the best for my family, for my business partner, and for our clients on a daily basis.
So, of all of the clients that you've had, what's one of your favorite success stories?
Oh wow. There's several, but one of the we had a client probably about 4 years ago, prospect at the time, come to me. He was second generation business owner. His father had started the company, and he was now the owner and running the company. Been working within the company for over 20 years, and we're starting to see some growth. And he came to me and said, during this growth phase, I have never been able to get out of my head how our company operates from beginning to end so that I could train other people to do it. And I can't take all these questions one after everybody just bombards me. How do we do this? And how do we do that? And how do we do that? And I was able to, with confidence, look at him and say, well, you know what? We are experts at actually extracting that from your brain, getting it on paper and making it trainable. We can do that. And of course, there's like, nobody can get that out of my head, right? And I said, now I'm not saying it's easy, and it's going to take time. I got to get you to stop long enough to have conversations with us. We'll work through that. But to end the story, we were able to clearly outline and define 8 stages of how their company operated from beginning to delivery of their service, with all the steps that it took in between, and within those steps, what were the tasks that needed to take place, and be able to have a fully functional training for their company, to the point we even put an infographic together that he blew up as posters for every part of their office, from their office to the warehouse to everything else. And for him, he was very proud to be able to say, wow, that's my brain, that's our business, we're able to train it. And in real time of telling this story, he struggled even ever being away from the office because people didn't know how to do anything. And last week during school spring break, he took his kids to St. Lucia because he was able to get away for a week because people know how to run the business without him.
Nice. Very nice. So let me ask you this, of all the things that you've done in your life, what are you the proudest of?
Being a dad, I've always loved. I mean, I certainly love my wife, and that's a priority. Together, we've raised our son, and to this day, it's the people joke that know us really well that you can't be around me long enough and not have heard me say how much I love being a dad.
Yeah. So everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
My perception of myself is that I am a leader that is called to influence. And there were times in my life that I felt insecure about that. But as I've aged, I realize, you know what? I'm a leader of leaders, and coming around business owners and organizational leaders that need high level support is part of what I'm wired to do. And it doesn't mean I don't have my own personal struggles and weaknesses, but I'm wired to lead and influence and make an impact.
So if anyone wants to hire you, learn more about you, reach out, any of the good business, where do they go?
Yeah, it's real simple. You can go to our website, thrivebusinessoperations.com. So it's really easy. It's our business name.com, Thrive Business Operations. You can do 2 things there. You could schedule time with me or my business partner, Kai, just to have a conversation so we get to know each other. You could download our ebook, The Thrive Ops Cycle, which explains how we run your business 90 days at a time. Or just on any social media platform, Bill Simmons Live, LIVE. So if you are, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Bill Simmons Live, I'm there, and I'll respond.
Excellent. Bill, this has been wonderful. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.